Improved transparency when making a website booking or reservation, which includes information about all mandatory charges and the cost of optional extras. Also includes information about key rental terms and requirements, including deposits charged to the consumer's credit or debit card. Better information at the booking stage about optional waiver insurance products, including their prices, exclusions and applicable excesses. Improved and more transparent fuel policies. Clearer and fairer vehicle inspection processes. Improved practices for taking additional charges from customers. Consumers are to be given a reasonable opportunity to challenge any damage before a payment is made. Andy Allen also said, like any transaction, car hire has risks associated with it, but in the light of the undertaking by these car rental companies, we hope that the whole process will start to go more smoothly for UK consumers in 2016. Although there is no specific EU legislation relating to car hire as a consumer shopping in the European Union, consumers have certain rights. Their basic consumer principles include buy what you want, where you want. If it doesn't work, send it back. Contracts should be fair to consumers. You should not be misled, and effective redress for cross-border disputes. He also said, on a positive note, we hope that the European Commission's work with the top 5 car rentals to review their practices towards consumers will start to pay dividends as 2016 progresses. The campaign aims to publicise tips and advice for consumers on what to look out for before, during and after renting a car, and where they can go for help if there's a problem. Advice to UK consumers about car hire abroad is included in a leaflet called Trains, Planes, Cars and Boats. It gives motorists hints and tips to protect themselves, and you can download a copy from the UK ECC's website, which is www.ukecc.net. And as I said, this will be posted at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. The UK ECC advises consumers to do pre- and post-rental vehicle inspections with photos if possible, and ensure that both parties sign these documents at the time and retain a copy. Shop around for the best rate. If shopped online, you have no right to... if booked online, you have no right to cancel and claim a refund. Prices may also vary according to the time of year. Read all the paperwork before signing, including the terms and conditions. Check what is and what isn't covered on the insurance. Confirm the company's fuel tank policy. There may be compulsory refueling service charges or penalties for returning the car with insufficient fuel. Check any extras that you might be liable for. Allow enough time to drop the car off. Research the country's highway code and local road rules. And request evidence of disputed charges. If things do go wrong, however, consumers can get free legal advice by contacting the UK European Consumer Centre either via the website ukecc.net or by phone at 01 268 886690 on weekdays between 9 and 5. When I was a travel agent, car hire was a real pain. It really was. And I can understand the problems people have if they book direct. And in the Sunday Times travel supplement a couple of weeks ago, a letter was there about somebody who hired a car in Germany and then had a massive bill because he drove in Austria on the motorways without having the necessary paperwork. Should a company in Germany know that he's driving to Austria? Should his travel professional have let him know? That's not for anybody to say here, but you should always be aware of the highway code or the equivalent of the highway code wherever you're travelling, because it's down to the driver to make sure that the car is road legal in the country it's being driven. If you've had problems with car hire, do share your story at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. I had a client, he booked everything with me apart from the car hire, had a dispute, had a sudden bill for £1,500 show up on his card, which he was not happy about. It was in France, he was in England, it kept going backwards and forwards. This is going about 7 or 8 years ago. And the only way he actually got something to progress was managing to convince his credit card company to do a chargeback. So that meant they took the £1,500 back from the car hire company, and then they were interested in resolving the dispute. It's a lot easier now with the UK ECC. But as I said, if you've ever had trouble with hire car, facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Just post your problems there and how it was resolved. Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. Back when I had not long passed my test, and we're talking an awful long time ago, I took my girlfriend, now my wife, and her sister to the seaside. I remember the journey back, it took forever and my shins started to get really sore. First time I've been on the beach without my parents looking after me, and I got really badly burnt. So bad that I couldn't walk up and down stairs. I had to inch myself down using my bum on each step. Luckily I was on half term from my college studies, so I didn't have to phone in sick or anything, but I was really, really red raw, and it's made me more aware of the sun now, so I very rarely burn. I always make sure I've covered myself in creams and or stay in the shade. When you've got a big fat bald head like mine, keeping it out of the sun is quite difficult unless you have a big brimmed hat. So I do wear lots of hats just to keep it the sun off my top of my head. Of course, if I don't wear a hat and I do get tan and I'm wearing sunglasses, then because I've got a bald head, you can see where the sunglasses have been. It's very difficult to cover. But it is a serious subject, and it's stuff that people should be aware of. And this week I'm speaking to Clive de Carle, who's an acclaimed mental and physical performance specialist and a fellow presenter here on UK Health Radio. He's going to share his views on what you should do to prepare yourself for the sun and how beneficial the sun actually is. And if you do get sunburnt, how you can help ease the problem, the pain. And when he says what you should use, I never guessed. I thought I knew the answer, but when he said the answer, as I said at the beginning of the show, I was completely wrong. But anyway, you'll be finding out about that in a few moments. So the first thing I wanted to know is why does the skin change colour when it's exposed to the sun?
Well, thanks for asking me that. It's the melanin. The melanin is in both the hair and the skin, and while the skin goes lighter, the melanin makes where the hair goes lighter, the melanin makes the skin go darker, and it seems to be that by going darker, it has a protective element to it. But the problem, of course, is burning, and it's absolutely essential not to burn.
So how fine is the line between having a tan and getting burnt?
Well, I believe that as one gets older, you usually build up a tolerance to the sun. Our ancestors clearly would have been out in the bright sunshine for most days, probably. Mm-hmm. So they would have got an awful lot of sunshine. Clearly, a tan is a sign of health, I would say. It's showing that you're outside and should be healthy. People who are anemic are clearly unwell. Those ones who look so pale. Mm-hmm. And I think that there is a fine line between a tan and burning, and one's got to be very, very careful not to go over that line. I find for myself that I need to come indoors and let my eyes be accustomed to a darker light than the bright sunlight, really to assess myself. And, I'll also do it by using my hand as a temperature gauge. Mm-hmm. If I feel any warmth at all, I know I've already gone too far. And I've learned from bitter experience. I got sunstroke when I was 11, and I was ill for about 3 days, and it was horrendous. And I wouldn't recommend that on anybody.
No, I've heard it's bad. I've not had it myself, but it's not something that's on top of my to-do list, that's for sure.
But the thing was that I didn't know it was happening. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really aware that I was getting that burnt. The sun was so strong, and I was in and out of the sea. And 11, it's not that I felt pain and got enough warning. It was only after I came in that I suddenly realised what I'd done.
So does tanning cause any damage to the skin, or is it just perfectly healthy?
Healthy tan is by definition healthy and what we should all have. I mean, the statistics on the tanning and vitamin D are astonishing. There have been many clinical studies done on vitamin D, and one of the big ones was where they measured over 50,000 people, if I remember, in Europe, and they measured who'd got the highest vitamin D level in the blood compared to people with the lowest. And the people who had the highest had, depending on which trial they looked at, 65, 75% less incidence of cancer, which is pretty huge. And, the best source of vitamin D, clearly, other than fish and supplementation, would be the sun.
Yes, like I say, the top of my head is a large vitamin D collector. It's not bald, it's just there to collect vitamin D.
But for most of us in the winter, we can't get enough vitamin D. You've got to be abroad to get it.
So what damage is caused by sunburn?
Well, cancer for a start, at the far end of it. I know somebody who I grew up with who, aged about 40, splashed very hot chip fat on their face accidentally. And with each splash of the chip fat, she got a skin cancer, and which the doctors removed. So it's clear to me that skin cancer's cause is primarily burning, not whether it's the sun doing the burning or chip fat doing the burning. You don't want to get burnt. So that is perhaps the worst that could happen in the sun. But wrinkles, all sorts of skin damage can occur from burning. And it can be so easily avoided.
People use suntan lotions and suntan creams to avoid getting burnt. How do they actually work?
Well, there are many brands and many varieties out there, but a lot of them are using finely powdered metals to literally reflect the sun back or protect the body from those rays. But our bodies are designed to take the sun's rays, so I don't believe that using an unnatural compound to protect the skin is the way forward. For myself, when I go to hot, sunny climates, I make sure that I've got the suitable clothing. I may be wearing shorts, but if I'm going to be out for a very long period of time, I make sure that I've got some long trousers as well and a shirt with sleeves, because I don't want to get caught out and find my arms are burning or my neck's burning or whatever. I personally don't like hats, but if I liked hats, I'd use one. I'm very lucky in that over the years I had an organic farm for years, so I built up a good sort of tolerance for the sun, and I just use clothing to protect myself. But if I was particularly light-skinned and particularly sun-sensitive, I'd be using coconut oil as the protective medium. Yeah, coconut oil has amazing properties. It's antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, all sorts of things. And to protect you against the sun, unlike what most people might think, oh, well, I'm going to put oil on, I'm going to fry. It just doesn't work like that. It's amazingly protective. And if one was unlucky enough to burn, then you could use the coconut oil as a remedy for the burning. However, there's a better one. But for both of these, you've got to plan in advance. Obviously, you've got to plan to take some coconut oil with you. But the best remedy to relieve sunburn, bizarrely, is apple cider vinegar, particularly the raw unpasteurized stuff. And that's probably not easy to get on your, a holiday vacation somewhere. But if one did take it with you, it's remarkable, absolutely remarkable for relieving sunburn.
I've not heard that before. So yes, that's quite interesting.
There are some other interesting things you can do in advance of going. If you supplement with vitamin C, or you're getting a huge amount of vitamin C in your diet from lots of very fresh vegetables, for example, you reduce your risk of sunburn. Vitamin C is perhaps the best kept secret in the whole health world, how useful it can be. But one of its great uses is to reduce sunburn. We are not, generally speaking, as a human race, getting enough vitamin C, not like we used to, because our ancestors used to go outside in the sunshine, pick the fresh vegetables and eat them. fresh fruit and eat them. And unfortunately, it seems that vitamin C deteriorates in transit, as the food gets older, coming from the